Okay, the next topic is arrays. So basically arrays are the elements, so collection of elements which are going to be similar data type. Okay, so arrays always prefer for having the memory adjacent, side by side memory locations only, so they are going to prefer. Okay, so here to create an array, yeah, so arrays are going to be collection of elements which are going to prefer adjacent memory locations or side by side memory locations. Okay, so here arrays are going to be defined like this. So by using the syntax, so data type of array name equal to new data type of, so here we are going to mention the size of array. Okay, so in case if I want to define an array, so I have to mention the data type. Why? Because arrays are data type specific. So always they are going to store the data type of same data type elements. So that is the problem also. So going forward we can see what are the different drawbacks of arrays and what can fix these particular drawbacks. So here you can see, in case if I want to create a string array, so I have to create it like this. So first I need to mention the data type string and array name. Suppose if I want to store my courses like this, I can create an array. So in case if you want to create an array along with the values, I can define it like this directly. Suppose if I want to define an array where array size, array values will be added, or so which is going to be inserted after the declaration. So we are going to write like this. So string of, so courses equals to new string of, so here you are going to mention how many memory locations we require. So whenever we are working with arrays, we should remember few points. So if it is a variable example, so int some x is equal to 10, so directly we can assign the value. But as I mentioned, so arrays are going to be so more than one element, right? So it is going to be like this. So suppose this is an array, and here I want some 5 memory locations to be occupied. So 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 5. So like this we have some 5 memory locations. So to store value into this specific element location, so at that time, so we are going to use index. Index always starts with 0. So if the size is n, so we are going to store the value from 0 to n minus 1. So since here I mentioned 5 memory locations, so index starts from 0, it is going to repeat till it is value become 4. In case if I want to store value here, suppose if array name is ARR, if I want to store value at a 0 location, I can use ARR of 0 equals to some value. So then we are going to have this 15 inside 0 memory location. So again, in case if I want to store at one location, so I can pass it like this. So then the value will be storing here. So what I can conclude, so to store or retrieve the values, of an array, so we are going to depend upon this index. So in the same way, so this, whenever you declare an array like this, in case if you want to store value, retrieve value, so we are going to use index of the array. But whenever it comes like this, so here we are going to pass the values directly, so that you can replace but you cannot add a value. Okay, so that's the problem. Let's see an example of array here, and I request you can do parallelly with me. After the task I will give a gap to you. So here I am going to take an array string of courses equals to, so here I am going to store the values like C, C++, Java, SQL, PHP, something like this. You can assign an values at the time of array declaration only. So since, as I have mentioned, either to store value or else to retrieve the value, we are going to depends upon index, and we can operate array using the index only, right? So we can use a for loop. So for int I is equal to 0. Why it is only integer means index is going to be starts from 0 to n minus 1. So this is a numerical sequence. So that is the reason we are going to make it as integer, and we are going to initiate the value from 0. Why? Because array index is going to start from 0. So post this one, I less than or equal to. So here we need to mention only less than, not equal to, whatever the array name dot length. Whatever the array name dot length, that means it is going to give you what is the length of the array or size of the array. You are going to get 5 here. So it will repeat 0 to 4. Since we mentioned less than here, so the loop will iterate from 0 to 4 only. So later I plus plus, and we are going to print the array values on the screen. So here we are going to mention courses of I here. So whenever we are executing it, so now you can see we are able to print all the array values. And here there is an alternative option, so where we can also print only for printing or iterating the values from an array. So we can use a for each loop. We can use a for each loop. So you can see this. So for each loop can be created like this, for each. So there is a colon, there is a colon. Right side we are going to mention what is the collection name. Suppose here we have the collection courses. Here we have the collection courses. Before colon we are going to mention what is the type of this particular connection. Collection type, here it is string type. So here we can take some value. So course, so it is singular, it is plural. So every time automatically system only will get a value from courses. It will store into this entity element course. So like that you no need to maintain any index or any value to iterate the values. So here you need to simply use this course array, course entity. So first time it is going to retrieve C, second time it is going to retrieve C++, Java, SQL, PHP, like that it will iterate automatically. We no need to maintain any index in scenario of this for each loop. Okay. So now whenever we are going to print, so now you can see this was printed with regular for loop. So this one printed with for each loop. So this is how you can able to create an array with the default values, and we can iterate by using for loop or for each loop. Okay. So as of now we have hard coded the values. So other than this one, in case if user want to specify an array, so according to that we are going to define the size of the array. So then we can see so how we can add or how we can remove all these things we can do it. And one more thing before going it, so whenever we are printing, in case if you want to print it in an ascending order, or else if you want to sort the array, so you can use a syntax called, so arrays, there is a class from util package. Okay. So from java.util package, there we have a class called arrays. So arrays dot, there is a function called sort. So to this we have to pass the array which you want to sort. So now you can see I am just adding a separator to get to know the difference. So what is printed with the normal for loop, how we are going to print with for each loop here. So suppose if I are going to execute, now you can see this. So this is the original array. So after sorting, this is the array. Almost we have given in the same sequence. Now you can observe so between this, so we have given PHP at the last, so since we are sorting it, so it is going to print like this. So this is the advanced approach, so from the Java. So instead of using any sorting algorithms, directly you can sort the array. So for that we are going to use arrays.sort function. So as I said, now let's try with an array, so where we can completely customize from user requirement perspective. So here let me create a class, and I'm going to use an object of the scanner. So first we are going to ask user enter array size. So post this one, user will enter what is the array size. So I am going to take int n is equal to, so scanner object dot next int, so that we can expect whatever the number entered by the user, that is going to be available inside this variable n. So suppose I am going to take an integer array this time. So arr equals to new int of, so here we are going to mention this variable n. That means, for suppose user has given n value as 5, now the array size will become 5. So if you are giving 10, the array size will become 10. So like that, array size will be declared dynamically. So now first reading values into an array. So we are going to understand how we can read values from end user to the array. So we are going to maintain a for loop. So for int I is equal to 0, I less than, we are going to mention only less than, since we started from initial value 0. So here we are going to either write n, the second option is arr dot length. So both will give you the same value. Suppose if we going to enter array size is 3, so even if you are going to get arr dot length, so the size will become 3 only. So then I plus plus. So we are going to ask value like this, enter value for index. So here we are going to mention what is the index value I. Okay, so I am just adding a colon. Let's see how it is going to be. So post this one, whatever the value entered by the user, so I am going to store in arr of I. So I value first time it is going to be 0, second time 1, 2, 3, this sequence is going to be auto generated. So but array is expecting integer type, right? So array values also should be of integer type, so that by using the scanner class, so we can read only integer. So now let's see how it is going to be. So enter array size, suppose I am giving 3 values. So for index 0 I am giving 10, index 2 25, sorry index 1 25, index 2 some 60. So like that. So since we are entering the array size 3, index is going to be start from 0, 1 and 2. So this loop will be iterated like this. So now all these 3 values will be stored inside the array. So in case if you want to print them on the screen, so print array. So again same, either we can use for loop or for each loop. I have already mentioned in the previous program also. So for reading the values we can use only for loop. Whenever you want to print it on the screen, either we can use for loop or for each loop, anything will be fine. So here we can mention int I is equal to 0, same loop, I less than arr dot length, then I plus plus. So here we are going to print it on the screen like this, arr of, so you can mention whatever the I value is there. So now if you execute, so again it is going to ask the array size, so 5, so 90, 68, 77, 84, 5. So all the entered values will be retrieved back and be printed like this. Okay, so this is how you can operate an array. In case if you want to print the sorted values of the array, as I have already mentioned, so before printing this, so you can write arrays dot sort and you can mention the array name. So here my array name is ARR, so that it will be sorted in ascending order. In case if you want to make descending, so you need to print array in reverse order. Okay, now you can see it will be sorted in ascending order. Okay, object oriented programming topics. So today we'll have we'll understand what is this OOPS topics. So and we'll see one detailed one by one in the further sessions. Okay, so first let us try to understand what is object oriented programming. So OOPS stands for object oriented programming structures. So basically this is a theory that contains list of topics. So it contains some topics. Let me mention what are those. The first one can be class and object, inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, abstraction, constructors, and exception handling. So these are the topics which are designed for creating an ideal software. So suppose we'll assume that so the software should be an error free, so which should be reusable, and we'll have some certain expectations, right? So whenever if any language is going to implement the software by following this theory of object oriented programming, that can produce or create a software which is completely error free and reusable. Okay, so these topics are nothing but only these are the steps whenever you follow from any language to implement the software, then that can create an error free software and a reusable software. So before this concept called OOPS, there is a theory called POPS, which stands for procedural oriented programming structures. Procedural oriented programming structures. So in this, the languages like C, BASIC, COBOL, Pascal, these kind of languages, they have followed this theory called POPS. So these POPS languages are having some certain drawbacks. Okay, so drawback number 1, no code reusability. So what is mean by code reusability? So whatever the program or project that you are going to create today, that should be reusable in the future. So suppose if we are doing a banking project, so the banking project after creating it, so they have some enhancement in the sense for the same existing software whichever we have developed. So for the same software, the people should be able to continue it, so the features should be continued. So when we have an advanced enhancement for the project, so then you have to start, you no need to start the code from the beginning. So whatever the code that we have already existing, so we have to use that and we have to implement whatever the enhancements are included. So that is what we refer here it as code reusability. Okay, second one, no code security. So security in the sense it's not matter about of hacking or something. So this code security is nothing but whenever you have designed any class or any code or something, so you need to be deciding whether that code should be visible to other classes or other program that is there in our project. Okay, so we need to maintain that sensitivity. so that is not available in POPS languages. And basically, whenever we are creating large scale web applications or large scale applications, so we always prefer to connect with a database. So but here there will be no DB connectivity. So due to these three drawbacks, okay, due to these three drawbacks, so we are moving for the theory called OOPS. The languages like C++, Java, C#, .NET, Python, etc. All these are the languages have tried implementing this list of topics whatever we have mentioned. So except C++, is not able to implement some of very minor topics, but remaining all languages they are very strong and they have able to implement all these concepts whatever we have mentioned here. Okay, so due to this, so we are able to create the softwares which are error free and robust. Robust means they are very strong, so no one can hack it, and these are not going to have any errors. So if you follow the approach of this object oriented programming. Okay, so this is how we can able to implement so reusable softwares and secure softwares. So that is the reason till now, so all the leading languages in the market, so they have implemented their syntaxes based on this object oriented programming structures. So OOPS is a theory that contains only some list of topics. This is what we should remember. Okay.